I didn't plug in my computer.
You were too busy being a thirst trap out there in the park that you weren't ready.
I don't know if a thirst trap is the right word for it.
We are often naked together in the mornings.
That's true.
Via selfie. Andy and I take our ugly selfies in the morning and send them to each other very often. So,
Cheri, have I got the genitals for you?
if you've got an itch, Andy Vargo will scratch it.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Scrutiny with Cheri and Andy, where every week we talk about all things relationships, lifestyle, what's going on in the world with our own personal brand of scrutiny. I'm Andy Vargo, and of course this is the great
Cheri Hardmand.
Cheri Hardmand. I don't do it as well as you do. I got to work on my intro, but we're here for an exciting show. Thanks for joining us today. And Cheri, how are you?
I'm good. I'm feeling really blessed that we have air conditioning in our house. You know, we've got central air. The only problem is that Dave likes it a little bit less cool than I do, let's just say.
Oh, gotcha.
So we're always fighting that. Like he wants it at 71 and I'm like, no, it needs like if it, when I'm in a hotel room by myself, it's like 66.
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay. I thought you were going to say 69.
Oh, well, yeah, we try to settle on, well, he tries to settle on 71. And then I always have to talk him out of it, and then he complains. So, whatever.
Well.
But it's easier to put on a blanket than take off your clothes.
That's true. Yeah, you can wear a jacket or a sweatshirt or a long sleeve shirt a lot easier than you can go the other way. And right. I'm about to sneeze, so excuse me.
Okay, I was just going to ask how you are, but I guess you're sneezy. I don't know if you've got seasonal allergies, but we've been sneezing a lot over here.
Yeah, the last couple of days, they've really kicked in. I went out and visited my son. They were camping. Him and his wife are camping out at Alder Lake, so I went out and visited on Tuesday, and I could just feel it. Like by the time I left, and then I thought, oh, good. When I get back to the city, I'll be away from whatever was there. But apparently, either that just aggravated it enough that it stayed with me, or that was just the beginning of it, and I didn't realize that was day one. Didn't have to do with where I was.
Yeah.
But
what do you have going on this week?
This week, well, I've got Toastmasters, which is such a fun club and group to be a part of. We have our meeting tonight, and anybody who's considering getting into public speaking, whether it's for comedy or just to practice your leadership skills and communication skills, I highly recommend Toastmasters. Reach out to me if you're interested. We always love welcoming visitors and new members. So I've got that, and then I have that show coming up on the 7th of July, and then some private one-on-one clients I'm working with. So, and I'm going to be at the Starbucks in University Place on the corner of 27th and Mildred this Saturday, I believe from 11 to 3. They're doing a Pride Market with all LGBTQ vendors. So I'll be selling books and t-shirts, and I've got my Own Your Awkward shirts like this one here in a few different colors, as well as tie-dye.
Nice. Wow.
Hope to see some local
stuff. They're doing it in the Starbucks or just in that little mini mall?
They have a pretty big patio right out there, so it'll all be outside.
Oh, that's nice. It's going to be hot.
It is going to be hot, so I'm going to be drinking some beverages.
I was going to say, at least they got cold beverages there.
Yes, they've got us covered. That's for sure.
Oh, good.
How about you? What do you have coming up?
Let's see. What do I have coming up? Tomorrow night, I am doing Laughs at Lo-Fi. It's in Seattle. We got 2 shows tomorrow night.
Wow.
8 and 10, I think. 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock.
That's fun.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Really interesting lineup. It's a Suitman Productions production. So.
Oh yeah, with Dante.
I always have fun working with Dante. So
yeah, he's a good guy.
He probably does this to everyone, but he always calls me Sunshine, and that just always makes me feel.
Aw.
Someone calls you Sunshine. How can you not like that? You know?
Right. Well, he's never called me Sunshine, but he is nice to me. So
Yeah. And then July 3rd is the finals in the big contest. And then July 10th, I'm doing Comedy Grub at the Essence Lounge there on 6th Avenue.
Oh, perfect. I know right where that is.
With Kermit Apio headlining. So
nice. It's nice to get back to some of these Friday and Saturday night shows and like kind of getting back to the grind like it used to be.
Yeah, it feels good. Feels really good.
That's exciting. And you and I are going to put together a pretty good show here pretty soon. I can't wait to work out details on something fun like that.
Yeah, we got something in the works.
Yes, we do. So all you suckers that are watching us online can come out in person and say hello.
Yeah, and all the comedians are all going to start being nice to us all of a sudden. It's like,
that's the worst part.
We're going to remember the ones that have been nice to us all along. So there we go.
Exactly. That's the thing, it's natural when you see people getting some attention that you want to reach out and congratulate them and be nice, but you just have to make sure you are aware of not doing that, with, motivation behind it.
Right.
And also try to make a point of, regardless of where people are at in their path, that you're, urging them along and being supportive and everything. And then, that way when someone does make it big, they'll remember you.
I want to give shout outs to a couple people that are having some successes right now. It's just Quentin Jones was on some Chocolate Sunday show last night. I don't really know anything about it except that he won.
Oh, wow.
And that's given him some spots at some like big comedy places.
That's
so
really
shout
cool.
out to Quentin Jones. I'm proud of him. And Todd Royce is just blowing up all over the place.
Yeah, he's going all over to some big clubs. And I just saw one of his TikTok videos today. I haven't watched a lot of his TikToks. Sorry, Todd. I love you to death. I just don't watch a lot of TikTok. So when I heard you're getting TikTok famous, I'm like, what is this? And I've seen a couple of the clips on Facebook, but I saw the one today where a gal was opening all of the Todd merch. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, I saw that too.
He's like, that's my face. And then the mug. It was
yeah.
He's a funny guy. I like Todd.
Yeah.
And I like Quentin. It's good to see a good group of people doing well and moving up. So shout out to both those guys.
And then while we're just at that, I kind of want to just say who's going on in the contest at Nate so far.
Sure. Yeah, because there was another group last night that made it through.
Yeah, so last night it was Debbie Wooten, Jesse Warren, and Bo Blast all made it.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So far we have 7. And then next week we have 7 or 8 going up. I don't know how many are going to make it through. So it's getting exciting.
Yeah. So next week is the last initial round, right?
Yeah, it's the last semifinals. And then after that's the finals.
Wow.
And it's so nice that we get to do it at a comedy club on a Saturday night, like a real show,
Right. Well, and the night before is the rest of the semifinalists, right?
Right. It's the best of the rest. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a Friday night show and a Saturday night show dedicated to the contest. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So go support those people.
Definitely.
All right. Or we're kind of getting in the middle of a heat wave.
Yes.
At least for us.
We're having a heat wave.
And I wanted to tell you, I didn't tell you what we're doing this weekend, I don't think.
No, what are you doing this weekend?
Dave has a disc golf tournament up in BFE, let's just call it BFE, northwest way up. And so we're going up to stay in Marysville, Arlington.
Okay.
The next 2 nights. So he and Andrew are going to go up there first while I'm doing my show, because they're not going to want to sit around through 2 shows.
Sure.
And then I'm going to drive up when I'm done. So at like midnight or whenever I'm done, I'm going to be driving to Marysville. And we all know how much I love to drive on the freeway at night. So that's going to be fun. Oh, we're staying up there. Noah's going to be here, watching the house and the dogs. So I don't know what we're going to do, but I hope the AC in that hotel room is really good.
Yeah, because sometimes in the hotel rooms, it can be all or nothing. Like I've been in somewhere, it doesn't even feel like it's on, and sometimes it's so cold you can't even get it a little bit comfortable.
Yeah.
But well, that's
So,
exciting. That'll be fun.
that'll be fun. Yeah. I just got to try not to spend a lot of money. That's,
Are you gonna go gambling while you're up there?
well, probably because, we're Marysville, Tulalip, hello.
Yeah, you're right
Oh, by
there.
the way, I didn't tell you this, and I know. Last night when I was at the casino, ran into Nate Jackson.
Did you?
Yeah.
That's cool.
I was sitting there playing on my machine, and I kept hearing this guy talking, but I thought he was just walking by talking to someone, and then he got his face right in, and I looked up, and I was like, oh, and then I just kind of punched him in the stomach, and he left. I didn't even say anything to him. So, hi, Nate. Anyway.
That's funny. That's cool.
Yeah.
So I can't remember what was on our list for today. I know we had some things to talk about.
We were going to talk about date ideas, first date ideas.
Oh, yeah, first date ideas.
And maybe some married date ideas too.
Yes, because that can be equally, if not even harder, to come up with ideas when you've been with somebody for a while and to kind of put some spice into things.
Right.
So, what's your idea?
Well, I've been talking. I don't have any ideas. So my husband is a homebody, right? So he doesn't like to go on dates. Not that he doesn't like to go places with me. He just doesn't like to go places at all.
He's just as content to be hanging out at home, doing whatever.
And so we struggle with this a lot. Well, he doesn't struggle because he's sitting here at home. I struggle with this. Because, I think women sometimes, we got used to being wined and dined. Mm-hmm. And then, you get caught and then, they're like,
no
okay, I got my woman now. I'm in my man cave. And so it's really hard to kind of get that filled without nagging. And then who wants to go if you have to nag? So it's a conundrum. So I don't know. I don't have any answers. Maybe you might have some ideas, but.
Well, and I can tell you when I'm looking at dating, I'm not sure who's supposed to play the lead role. Like when it's two guys, like is it, should one do the whining and dining, or do you take turns, or does it depend on who asked each person out? And I think that comes down to each relationship being so different, because depending on your personality types, one of you may be more natural to wine and dine, and one may be more natural to accept the whining and dining. But I don't know. But I know a couple of years ago, or it was before COVID, so gosh, it must have been 2 years ago now, I had a date coming up, and I had just posted on Facebook, what are some first date ideas?
Right.
And a couple things that some people talked about was not going to a movie or a comedy show, because if you go to something that's a show, you can't talk, you can't converse, so you can't actually get to know the person if you're.
I don't agree with that though.
No?
Because can't you go out to coffee or a drink afterwards and talk about what you just saw?
Well, and that's a good point. You could. Now, I also think that depends on the situation for the first date, because when I'm meeting people, I feel like there are tester dates and then there are true first dates. Right. Like there's like you go for coffee or you go for cocktails and you do the quick, hey, I'm just testing to see if I can hang out to be with you for 20 minutes, let alone go on a date. So you definitely don't want, if you don't know what you're getting into, you don't want to commit to 4 hours worth of time for movie and dinner or movie and drinks. But you're right. If it's more than just the movie, I think that would be cool. But if you just do a movie and then say goodbye, then you're right. You don't really get to interact, because
what's the point? Yeah.
And you can find out a lot about a person based on what they liked or what parts of the movie they enjoyed. So there's that. Some things I also
have a piece of information about going to a comedy club on a date.
Okay.
Which is kind of maybe doesn't really work if it's just the two of you, but say you're on a double date. Anyway, I learned that when you're sitting somewhere with a group of people, that when you find something funny, you're going to look at whoever you feel closest to.
Interesting.
Yes. So if you're out with a group of people, that's a good way to suss somebody out, like who's interested in me, as if you notice that they're always turning to you. And I do notice this because you and I, when we think something's funny, we turn to look at each
That's
other.
true. Yeah, we do.
Yeah. So
Huh.
that's just a little hint for, like, you know, I guess if it's only the two of you and they're, now I don't know why when we go to comedy clubs, my husband stares straight ahead, but that's a
He doesn't want to miss anything. But you know, that can be true even just in real life when you see something funny happen out and about and you notice that you look at whoever is nearby or that you feel close to nearby. I've seen that, you know, somebody falls down and you're like, I mean, falls down in a non-hurt
Right.
kind of way, I should say. But or something awkward kind of happens and you look at someone who you're more of a friend with than the other people and you try to hope other people don't see you making eye contact. But,
right.
one thing that I've so my go-to first date, especially if it's somebody that I don't know, like if it's a, hey, we're just kind of gonna find out and we haven't met yet, I like to suggest going somewhere like to the waterfront or by the park where we could grab a coffee and possibly go for a walk or do the walk and then get a drink afterwards, where there's an opportunity to extend the date, but it's not required. So if we, you know, if we grab a cup of coffee and we chat for 15 minutes, and I always set an alarm on my phone for 1 hour after the date time is supposed to start. That's my out. And then I can say, oh, I got to go to my next thing. Or I can say, you know what, that I just forgot to turn that alarm off or whatever and keep going on the date. But I don't just do that for dates. I set my alarms when I'm meeting with people when I have to leave so that I can not have to check my watch, because I think it's rude to keep looking at the time. And that way I can get lost in the conversation knowing that an alarm will go off when it's time for me to get ready to go.
Right.
But another thing that could be fun is there's a lot of farmers markets going on right now, or arts and craft kind of, you know, art. There's not as many as there used to be, but there's a lot of little festivals that happen. And those kind of things can be a fun first date kind of thing to do, because you're looking at different artwork and vendors and getting an idea of what you might like. Kind of fun.
I would think like those little paint and sip things would be fun too.
Oh, that could be a fun first date. Yeah,
You
paint
know.
and sip. I should be taking notes.
I've seen, like, I've watched a lot of like dating shows. I can't even think of like a name of them, but where they do different things on dates or whatever. And one thing that a lot of people liked was, I'm thinking of like Millionaire Matchmaker.
Okay.
And so they have to set up the date or whatever. And one thing that always worked really well was like a cooking lesson.
Oh,
you went and you learned how to make something, and then you get to eat it because you're together doing an activity. I think you probably need to kind of know for sure you're interested in somebody a little bit before you went there. But
yeah, another thing that can be fun is either brewery hopping and beer tasting, or wine tasting, depending on you know, your likes.
Right.
So that could be fun. I'm trying to think. Going to a place where you can play games like an arcade, like pinball and air hockey, and some of that stuff can be fun. And again, married folks, people have been together for a long time, feel free to have a first date night, you know, once a month or every couple months, and be like, hey, it's your turn to plan a date, or let's plan one together. I think sometimes one thing that's hard with relationships is we get to a point sometimes where we don't feel fulfilled in one way or another, but we put it on the other person. Like, why don't you do this for me? Why don't you create the date? I want you to come up with it. And it's okay to say, I'm bored. I want to go do something. Let's come up with something together. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a big surprise that you don't know about.
Are you talking to me in specific about that?
No, I'm having flashbacks to previous relationship.
Oh.
Where there was an expectation that was never able to be met, I should say. So just kind of like anytime you come up with something, it was like, well, this is just too much this and this is too much that. And it's like, well, Do you just not want to go do something? Because I thought that's what we wanted to go do, and that's not fun. So
Got it.
and that's the thing too, is I think that there has to be a level of letting go of expectations when you step into any new experience, whether it's going on a date as a married couple or a first date. You have to not be expecting the event itself to go perfectly smooth and be like a TV show where everything's just right. It's like, you know what? If I spill paint all over myself in the paint and sip and my painting looks like crap, it doesn't matter, because we're there just to have fun in the experience, and that's why we're there.
Right. Now that just made me think of something. You said the word expect, and somebody told me this, and when I first heard it, I thought it was a load of horse crap. But the more I think about it, I kind of buying into it. So somebody once told me that the key to happiness, especially like in relationships, is to have no expectations, to have zero expectations. And I thought, well, that's a bunch of crap. How can you have zero like that? Like the other person just not going to get, shouldn't you at least have minimal expectations?
Right.
But expectations, expecting something from someone is often where we get hung up. We're expecting someone to do something for us or to fill that void or to make us happy.
I think that's a really good way to look at it, because if we let go of expectations, those are the only thing that create disappointment.
Right.
So if we don't have expectations, we're not going to have disappointments. We're just always going to be surprised. And I think that there's a lot of times we mix the term expectations with standards or values, and that isn't necessarily the same thing. We can have standards and we can have expectations. I think about our last show, when you talked about, I've thought about this a lot actually since that show, how I rattled off my Mr. Right list, and you're like, whoa, that's a lot. But I really liked how you just described the essence of a person. And I think that comes to your standard, right? Like, this is the standard of the person. This is the essence of what we want and accept in our lives. And then from there, we're not going to have expectations on what that person does, other than they've met, who we are looking for.
Oh, you're so good at this kind of stuff.
I don't know. I have my moments.
I just say, I see Tara is watching us.
Hello, Tara.
And
does she have a good first date idea?
Yeah, well, when she doesn't yet, but when we were talking about temperature, I missed it. She likes a nice 69. So
okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
That's what we call a callback in the comedy world.
Yeah. So date ideas. When I was single, I did a lot of the going and meeting people like at parks. A lot of it was just because public places, were safer. Maybe not like a secluded park, but like I met people often at what's that park in Renton? Coulon.
Jean Coulon Park. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. Because that had that little walk, you could walk along the water.
Right on the water and yeah, it's nice. And I think parks are nice. The thing that and this is just a corny, cheesy thing, but I've had a few times where I go walk Ruston Way and then maybe get a drink at the Spar, and I think, what if I meet the guy and it goes really well? I don't want to use a standard first date, where it's like, oh, that's my normal go-to spot for a first date. Where you're like you want that first, and this is probably too much expectation. You know how you want to think back fondly on that first date, but if it's just, oh, well, I'm going to the same park again. So I do try to kind of rotate a little bit, but you kind of run out of it. It
doesn't matter because it's a different experience with everyone you're with.
True.
I mean, I met my husband at the hitching post, for God's sakes, Our first date, we went to, we had many experiences before we actually went on a date, if you get what I'm saying. When we went on a date, we went to when there was a Comedy Underground in Tacoma.
Oh, yeah.
We went to a comedy show. Yeah.
Nice. And that was before you were doing comedy, wasn't it? That's crazy. You know what? I barely went to any comedy shows before I started doing comedy. I think I had only gone to one comedy show.
Isn't that funny?
I'd been to 2 comedy shows before I started doing it. And I watched stand-up like specials on Netflix and stuff. I enjoyed stand-up, but I also I started doing comedy 6 months after I got divorced, and there was a lot of things I wasn't doing while I was married, and so it wasn't necessarily just because of the comedy.
Right.
Now that I think a little harder on that,
Mm-hmm.
so
Hmm.
yeah. So if you guys have first date ideas, what should we not do on a first date? If you have ideas, throw them in the chat because we love hearing those. But what should we not do? What are the biggest, or do we need to save that for a different time?
No, I mean,
The
if
big
people have stuff to
no-nos
say,
on
I
a
love
first
that.
date. Huh?
I said, if people have stuff to say, I love to see it.
Yes, we would love to see that. But I know one big no-no that I think should be left out of the first several dates is to say I love you.
Talking about your ex is another one.
Yes, I hear a lot of people do that. I'll just be sitting in places and I hear what's obviously a first date, and then they're talking about their ex. And I think that there's a level of acceptability if you're talking about how much of an experience you've had. I think it's okay to talk about how many, when was your last relationship? How long did it last? Some of
Yeah,
that
I
is
don't think you
okay.
should talk about that on a first date.
No. Okay.
Mm.
But definitely not talking about your ex and like how they treated you, and like those are when people start comparing war stories, you just know that relationship is not going to last because you're sitting there, you're basing your new situation on the misery or the dislikes from your past.
Yeah.
That's just avoid that. Just abort that. As soon as you start hearing those words come out of your mouth, just change the subject.
Right, because if you, I've heard women, women in particular, sit there like, oh, my ex did this and that to me. And like, if I was a man, I'd be like, my thought would be, why are you letting people treat you that way? You must not have very much regard for yourself.
Mm,
And that's
yeah.
how I would see that,
Yeah. When it's come up, the last time I had it come up on a first date, I actually was aware of it because the other person brought up something about their ex, and I just basically said, well, I've had a lot of growth and I've learned a lot of lessons since I've gotten out of the relationships I've been in, and I kind of take those with me as I go, and then try to change the subject into something else. So I tried to acknowledge what they were saying but not harp on it. Now I had one person who I went to lunch with, and no matter what I tried to do to change the subject, they would just come back to that space, and that just made it so clear to me that there was nothing to be able to talk to this person about, because I don't want to talk about their ex or their situation.
And sometimes that's just an indicator that they're not ready to date yet, not ready to move on.
Yeah, it's too soon.
Hey, have you noticed this little blonde streak of hair right here? Not here, but look, it's like
that looks, yeah, that's
white.
fun.
It's white. Okay, it's white. I must have missed it when I was coloring. I don't know.
It's a nice little highlight. It's like a lucky strip.
It's a highlight, yeah.
A little highlight
on one side, just one little spot that I missed.
Have you noticed the all the silver on this side?
Do you have it on the other side? Oh, not as much.
Not as much.
Oh, so wait, so that's your right side? And it's my left side.
Right.
Oh. Darn, I was hoping it was on the same side so we could be twins.
Well, we'll just stand next to each other and then we'll have the highlights on the outside. Like tennis shoes with logos.
Oh.
So other than the ex, what not to talk about on the first date? No, I love you. No ex talk.
Probably shouldn't talk about pooping or something like that, but
Oh, okay. Here's one. Oversharing about anything in general. Just ease in on that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all have our issues. We all have our things.
Don't be overly sexual. I know that's weird coming from me. Unless that's all you want from the person. Then that's a different ballgame.
Okay, so another question. When is it right to have the first kiss?
When you both want to.
Okay.
I don't think there's any rule for that. What do you think?
No, I don't think there's like a rule. I think it needs.
Well, that's because you like to kiss everybody all the time, but
I don't think that you should wait until like the fourth date to finally kiss.
No.
I like to. Well, never mind. I have a move.
I think a first date kiss is nice, but
Here's my thing. Here's my first date move. When you go to hug goodbye and you hug and then you just reach over and kiss right here, right behind the ear, and it's just kind of a subtle little nibble kiss right there in that soft spot. It's very sensual, but it also isn't so forward that you're going right for the lips. And then if they turn and lean in, then you can carry that on.
Oh.
And if not, then it's not the end of the world. You just put your tail between your legs and walk back to your car and go home and don't call them back.
Gotcha. No, that's a good idea.
Anyway, I think a subtle kiss, like, but I think there are times too where you just both are feeling the moment and you're just going to lean in and go for it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not sure, subtle is safe.
I think I remember kissing.
So, how are you doing on your reality TV shows? We have not talked about Desperate Housewives or the Housewives of New York, whatever, the real housewives of any of the cities that they're in. We haven't talked about Sister Wives. Are there things going on there that you're leaving us out of, or is it just kind of yeah?
Sister Wives is not doing anything right now.
Okay.
The big news in reality TV is about Erica Jane from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. You may have even heard it on the news.
I did not.
Erica Jane, her name's Erica Girardi, and she has like a alter ego kind of a persona that she entertains as Erica Jane. Erica Girardi is a fantastically beautiful woman. Like, she's very beautiful. And she sings some songs and married to a 80-something. She's like 40-ish. And her husband is like 80-ish. I don't know exactly the age. And he's a high-powered attorney. He was the attorney in the Aaron Brockovich case.
Oh, okay.
And so it appears, what?
So he's an actor. Because that was a movie.
That was a real case, Andy. Stop it. So there are accusations that he has taken people, and they made like a whole show out of it. Not on Bravo, but on some other channel. I watched it on Hulu. All these people that have been waiting for their settlement money from this particular attorney not getting it, and now he's saying he's broke, and he's apparently taken all their money.
Oh, shit.
So the question is, did Erica know this? Because the first thing she did before all this news came out was file for a divorce. So
well, and did she know it, or did she just find out right before she filed for divorce, and then it came out? Like, she may have just found out,
right,
but just right before it went public too. I don't know her. Obviously, I don't know any of the situation. I like to question what could be the light side of something.
And I mean, I hate to think the worst, but I think a lot of people do. And so I haven't watched everybody's, I haven't watched last night's episode yet, but I think we're still digging into that. And so that's kind of, it actually bothers me a lot, because I know that as an entertainment entity or whatever, it's not going to matter to them whether she knew or not. Like, if it's big, gets big ratings, they're just going to keep having her on the show. And I think if they find out that she hasn't done that, that she should just be removed. Because we're talking about people that were suing companies because, they were maimed or seriously health impaired because, and they're sitting there not able to spend their money because he stole it from them. So, it's very serious. So,
well, and the thing too is a lot of times in those high profile marriage type situations where one person is so established like he is in his job, it's very common for the other person to really not have any tie to it and honestly not know anything about what's going on.
Right.
That wouldn't surprise me at all, just because
Right.
when something's that much at stake, a lot of times people don't talk to people even at home, because a lot of times their marriages are more of a business arrangement than an actual partnership, where if they were together as a couple the whole time he started his career, and then it would be more plausible that she would notice.
Yeah. Well, like in this case, I mean, he's been doing this for years, probably, since she was born. And apparently he's been stealing money from people a lot, over the years. So it's really, really sad. And, like I look at Twitter and stuff, and people are just saying horrible things about her, and they don't know, and it makes me think, like,
too bad.
That's the thing about being famous, is that people make assumptions about you all the time when they really don't know. And that's got to be really hard, because you're still a person. She's still a person.
Yeah. And your heart could be in the right place. You could seriously not know what's going on. You just don't know.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I've had that a couple of times, where I've had experiences lately where I'm ready to judge something or to make an opinion about something, and I have to stop myself and say, okay, what might I not know about this situation that could be a different interpretation? And then really think about, okay, maybe this person, what assumptions am I making in this scenario? Because my reaction a lot of times is based on an assumption that somebody knew something, and that's not factual. That's just me going, oh, they had to have known that, and then me not liking that person or whatever. And so I've tried to do that just even in one-on-one, where it's like, well, I could just be assuming that Cheri meant to be rude to me, but really she maybe just didn't see my message today or whatever, but
Right.
we start telling ourselves these stories, but it's all based on assumptions that we're making to get to a conclusion.
That's true. So you know what they say, if you assume, it makes an ass out of you and me.
Yes, it does. We don't want to do that.
All right. Well, but then that makes me realize that next week we've been kind of talking about famous people.
Yeah.
Next week we're going to have our first guest on this. We're going to have Todd Royce is going to join us, because I want to pick his brain about.
Who's that?
What?
Who's that? Who's that? Oh no, he says, "What's that?"
What's that?
What's that?
Anyway.
That's his line. That's Todd Royce's line from TikTok. He says, "What's that?"
Yeah. So, anyway,
for all you Royces
he's
out
getting
there.
big famous on TikTok, and now he's getting to go all over the country and do all the things that all of us in comedy want to do. I sent him a message, told him I hated him the other day, and then said congratulations, because he accomplished something that I've been trying to accomplish for a couple of years. And so I want to pick his brain about what does that feel like? How have people been treating him? Because I think some people have been trying to ride on his coattails.
Sure.
Like us booking him for a show, right? No, but we love Todd anyway. We've worked with Todd.
Pot calling the kettle black. Although we've already done shows with Todd. We did. We did Truth or Dare heavy petting
with him. That was fun.
We didn't do naked heavy petting. We did Truth or Dare heavy petting.
Yeah, nobody wanted to see him naked.
No, and I've seen Todd at my local grocery store.
Oh, no. Oh yeah, you did.
Oh, which was fun during the pandemic. It was like, can we take a mask down to take a selfie? No, Todd's awesome. I like Todd.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting, just to kind of chat with him about what he's been doing. Yeah. So I don't know what else we'll talk about, but that'll be kind of fun. We should drag him into some, I don't know, weird. And I also think that we need to do like not next week, but we need to do a drunken version of Scrutiny. I think that'd be fun.
Oh, a drunken Scrutiny. I might get a little too honest. That's my
me too. I know.
But
we need to have a handler.
You're right. We just need a handler.
That will just stop us when we're going to say too much. So if you would like to be Andy and my handler,
I don't know who we could trust with that though, because I think people will try to get stuff out of us, and then
Oh, yeah, it'd have to be someone trustworthy. Not
we'll
my
have to
husband,
record it
because I wouldn't
live
listen to him. What?
and then wait to share it.
Yeah, maybe not do it live. But then where would we, where like it would be fun to do it in a public place, but then there's too much noise. So we'd have to
Yeah.
think about this a little bit, but that might be an idea. Or we could do it just, it's not as much fun from our homes as on Zoom,
Yeah, this is going to be fun when we can start. I like that idea of doing it somewhere. Like it'd be nice if there was a place that had like the crowd, but then we had a soundproof booth or something that we were in, or like
Right.
just set off enough that the mics were close enough that it picked up our voices. That would be fun.
We'll figure something out. We will. I think it'll be fun because we're fun.
Yes, we will.
We're fun when we're partying together.
So did we cover, was that the main thing this week, was the first date?
That was the main thing. The other thing was I just wanted to go over ways to stay cool when it's hot, because people, it's not only uncomfortable, people suffer.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have someone elderly in your life, for one thing, make sure they stay hydrated.
Yeah, I just heard this the other day. Maybe you told me this. A lot of older people or elderly won't hydrate because it's uncomfortable to get up and go to the bathroom. It's not easy.
Yeah, because they're old and their bones and joints hurt. Yeah. So that's that's like the main reason why a lot of older people get dehydrated and get ill when it's hot. So if you know someone in your life, the other thing I read that was interesting about staying cool was that your sheets on your bed, if you have just like cotton sheets, it's way better. The lower now everybody wants a high thread count sheet because they feel so nice, but the lower the thread count, the cooler your bed stays.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So
that's good to know.
And if you take a shower, like, get in a nice cool shower.
Yeah.
If you use peppermint soap, there's something about the smell of peppermint that does something in your brain. I don't know how to say it, but it kind of tricks your brain into thinking that you're cool.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
So peppermint, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So peppermint, low thread count sheets, hydrate a lot, keep fans going, keep the windows open if you don't have AC, and airflow.
Get an airflow early in the morning, and then when the sun comes out, close everything up.
Yeah, that's smart.
Cover your windows and stuff. So does your place get hot?
Yeah, it does. I have everything closed right now because there's a lot of street noise. So, and I've been in and out of Zoom meetings today. So I've been opening it up between hand, and I get decent airflow because I do have a window on each side, and it's a small enough space that it hasn't been unbearable, but it has definitely been warm.
Yeah.
So, and I've been like, when I take a shower, I turn it down to cool, especially at the end, and just kind of get cold before I get out of the shower.
Yeah.
That feels good.
All right. So we'll all take good care of ourselves and hope. And you know what? If my hotel room isn't cool enough, I can leave Dave there. He won't mind. And then I'll just come back home.
Well, and that's the other thing too, is there are activities you can go to the mall or go to a movie or go someplace that's air conditioned for a couple hours.
Casinos usually feel pretty nice and cool.
Yeah. And a lot of those places, you don't have to spend a ton of money at the casino. You can go to the mall and walk around without, necessarily shopping. You can just go be in a space, or even go into the library or something. There are things you can do, or even just going for a Sunday drive in your car with the AC on to kind of get out.
Yeah, I think Andrew and I are going to do that Saturday, because we used to go to La Conner a lot when the kids were little, because it was a kind of inexpensive something to do, tulip festival. And so he always likes to ride around and look at La Conner. So I thought, well, maybe, just turn the AC on in the car and he and I'll go for a ride while Dave's out in the sun.
Sculpting.
Yep.
Nice. I'm going to work on my tan.
Yeah, you're looking pretty pasty in that picture.
I know. I need to level it up a little bit. I'm getting there, but I'm not at 2018 quality yet. And 2019 I think was the good tan year. 2020
Yeah.
was okay, but 2019 was, I had a good nice tan going. Like you walk it, I'd see people and they'd be like, "What have you been doing?" I'm like, "Nothing, actually, just sitting in the backyard getting tan."
I remember how dark you were.
Yeah.
Well, look what happens to me is my chest just gets red.
Oh yeah.
So I've been trying to at least keep some sunscreen on it so it doesn't get scorched.
Nice. Smart. Well, I just today broke down for the first time and sat in the park and tanned because I don't have a backyard anymore. So I'm just like, okay, I guess I'm going to be that guy that's, laying there for all of nature to see without a six pack. But got to be okay with me and enjoy it and just.
Yeah. Hey, enjoy the body that you're in because it serves you well.
Mm-hmm.
It
And
gets you everywhere you want to go.
Today, I am both older than I've ever been and younger than I will ever be again at the same time. I heard that and it blew my mind. All right.
So next week we've got Todd Royce. If you have any subjects that you would like us to cover, send us an email or a message.
And I know I've got a list of questions for Todd. I'm sure you do. So it's going to be fun. And
Yeah,
what? We should, since we talk about relationships a lot too, we should ask how the fame has affected his relationship.
Oh, good. Let me write that down.
A good thing to know.
For when we're famous, we got to know how to handle it.
We must be aware of these things for both for when we're famous and for when I have a relationship. I'll need to figure out both of those things.
Right. I was talking last night to Chris Zapata.
Mm-hmm.
I love Chris.
He's a good guy.
And we were talking about watching someone else's career and, sometimes like being envious of what other people are getting. And he was saying how, that's their path. You could be happy for them on their path. Your path is your path.
Yeah.
So that was there for them to get. Whatever this job was, they got it. That was there for them to get. Your things that are there for you to get are going to be there for you to get. It's just your path is over here and their path is over here. And I said, oh, that's really good. Like I've heard it before, of course. So I told him, I said, whenever I'm feeling weird, we're just gonna call you and have you say that to me. So
right. Just remind me of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that's one thing that I know I've made the mistake of is I see someone have some success in an area that I'm trying to pursue, and I'm going down this path, and I think, oh, I need to go over there and do what they did. But then I'm starting clear back down here, and meanwhile, I could have been almost to the destination on the path I was on, but I aborted because I saw someone else doing something somewhere else.
Interesting.
So you got to stay on your path.
Yep. And sometimes, we're just trying to find our way. I think I'm still at that, just trying to find my way. Like I feel I don't fit in the, general area that a lot of people, the general path. I think I got to go my own side route and I'm just trying to find it. So.
Right. And it'll be there.
Okay. Yeah.
You're making
all right. Well, my back itches, so I'm going to go scratch it. But
all right.
If you have any questions or comments, Scrutiny with Cheri and Andy at gmail.com.
Yes. Or comment on the episode, like, share, subscribe, share it with your friends. We're on all the platforms as a podcast, as a YouTube channel, as a FaceTube page. Love us everywhere. Like us, tell your friends about it, and give us your ideas.
All right. See ya.
Bye-bye.